whatever it is that's contacting the earth, whether it's feet, legs, sit bones, body, taking a moment here to allow yourself to come home a little bit to the body, this precious body that takes us through our days and our lives. And as we settle, maybe taking a moment as well to survey our environment, checking to make sure that we've created a space that is supportive for the practice that we are doing today. So that practice is one of a quality, hopefully, of loving kindness. Finding an environment that can support you, whether it's making sure the door is locked, telling roommates or family members that you need to have this time to yourself. All of that is helpful in the practice of mindfulness. So as we start to arrive into the body, we might become a little more aware of our breathing. Maybe taking notice where the breath naturally comes into the body, where you expand naturally. Maybe it's in the upper chest, around the heart, or even a little lower at the belly. Seeing if you can, in this moment, let go of the idea that you might have of how you're supposed to breathe, and paying attention to what your body is doing right now in this moment. And honoring where you're starting from. To honor where we start from gives us the potential to move in the direction of choice for our hearts and minds and bodies. And continuing with this awareness of the breath, allow the breathing maybe to deepen a little bit. If you'd like, you can give yourself a little tactile cue by bringing the hand to the heart and hand to the solar plexus, this area of the upper belly above the belly button. And allowing the breath to open as you breathe in, expanding this area. And as you breathe out, the body moving its way back to center towards the spine. And as your awareness deepens, you might notice that the breath actually moves at the sides of the body and the back body even. The back body sometimes is a little harder to feel. So when we continue through our practice and end up on our backs, there might be a moment there where you'll feel the breath. But for right now, knowing that there's the potential of the capacity of the breath to expand in all directions, front, back, and sides, and even down into the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, everything springs back like a balloon that deflates towards the center, towards the heart and spine. And part of our practice in mindful movement is allowing the breathing to be our guide. So as we go into movement, we want to make sure that our breath matches the movement. And that if we start to become short of breath or labored in our breathing, to pause and slow down. If you're feeling sluggish, it might be that you need to quicken the breath a little bit, being aware, discerning where you are and being kind to that. Feel free to ignore me if I go into a particular direction and there is something calling you within your own body, within your own self, that's asking for your attention. This time is your time, the time you've carved for yourself. I'm the guide. Like if we were in nature and hiking on a trail, sometimes there might be a tree or a leaf or a plant we want to stop and pause and ponder. So letting yourself have that space. And releasing the hands and taking stock of where your eyes have been resting. You may notice that maybe your eyes were closed or your eyes were on the horizon or looking up, looking down. In our practice today in standing, allowing for the eyes to gaze maybe towards the floor in front of you, about meters, 10 feet. So when we allow for the eyes to look down at a distance, this helps the nervous system to restore, to draw in, to come in and integrate from our day. And again, if you need to adjust your eyesight, if that's feeling like it's too big of a leap for you, you can also look around on the horizon. What that does is it helps to maybe bring your energy up a little bit. So it's exploring that gaze to see what's helpful. I, in general, teach looking down towards the floor in front of you because that helps if you have any anxiety or you've had a very stressful day, but finding what works for you. So in this standing position, continuing with our breathing, we're going to very gently start to sway from side to side, feeling the presence of the contact of the bones on the earth. And if you've been sitting or lying down, if you'd like to join us in standing, you can. Otherwise, you're welcome to do this practice in sitting and even lying down. We're going to be going into the 6 movements of the spine. The first 2 movements are basically the spine going in opposite curves. So some people call this cat-cow. So for the moment, though, we're swaying side to side, feeling the presence and contact of the bones on the floor, feeling the outer, if you're on your feet, feeling the outer and inner edges of the feet. And then coming to rest so that you're balanced between the edges of the feet, but also forward and back. So you might want to actually rock back and forth, front to back, so you can feel the contact here. And then pausing. So noticing the bones of contact, whether they're the feet, the sit bones, noticing, feeling, and coming into a centered space. Always coming back to our breathing, coming back to settling. And we're going to step our feet apart. So stepping the feet apart about 3 feet or so, pausing here for a moment so that you can feel the presence of the contact of the feet, but as well as the engagement of the hips here. And we'll go into the 6 movements of the spine, but I want to further draw attention to the contact of the earth. For a lot of people right now, it's a bit of an ungrounding time. So for a moment here, we're going to place the hands on the thighs and pressing. As we help the thighs press back, we're going to simultaneously press the hips forward. So the glute muscles will squeeze and press the hips forward as the thighs press back. In fact, it might even be more helpful to place your hands right here at the front of the groin. And we're going to press back again with the thighs and press forward with the glutes. So we're doing a very gentle squeeze here. I'll turn to the side. So I'm starting off with my knees slightly bent and then pressing back with the knees and squeezing the hip muscles. So we're going to do that about 8 more times. And what this does is it helps also to move the fluid, kind of move any congestion out of the hips. It clears the lymph nodes in this pelvis area so that any inflammation in the legs can have a clear path to move back through the heart, the kidneys, and to be released. And coming to a pause, pausing here, relaxing the feet, the toes. We'll step our feet back together now, about shoulder width apart. We're going to slightly bend the knees, hands on the thighs, and go into this cat-cow. So to start, we'll exhale, drawing the belly button in towards the spine, and the tailbone will tuck under. And this is mostly a movement in the lower spine. Inhaling, releasing the belly, and the spine curves in the opposite direction. So gently exhaling, tucking the pelvis, inhaling, moving the pelvis in the other direction. So this gentle movement integrated with breathing. And 2 or 3 more here. And coming back to a neutral spine, somewhere between that tuck and curve, we're going to keep the knees bent and let the arms descend, but start to let them move back and forth. One more. And press yourself back up to standing. Feeling how this lower movement, the energy is starting to move through the legs and the low back. And from here, we're going to go down into this position again, the squat, but now we're going to spread the curve all the way up through the top of the head. So again, exhaling, tucking the pelvis, but allowing the spine to continue that curve through the upper back so that the chin comes towards the chest. And then inhaling, releasing the belly, moving the curve up through the spine, lifting the chest, lifting through the chest, descending through the shoulders, and then lifting the chin. Breathe. And exhaling, drawing the belly in, curving through the back. Inhaling again, releasing the belly. Curve moves up through the spine, squeezing the shoulders down and back, then lifting the chin. So continuing this movement, bottom up. Allowing the breath to be full and long, seeing if you can equalize the breath, the inhalation, the exhalation. And one more. Coming to a neutral position here. Let the arms hang, and we'll inhale, swinging the arms up, standing straight, reaching straight up over the head, reaching back. And exhale with the arms down by the sides. So pausing for a moment, noticing the impact on your heart. Are you keeping an intention here? There's a dance between intention and attention. So allowing yourself to maybe recognize the intention that brought you here to our practice, whether it's for community or loving kindness or anything that's drawing you. And we're going to shift our attention to the third and fourth movements of the spine, side bending. So looking down at the feet, making sure the feet are pointing straight ahead. Sometimes what we have in our brain is not necessarily what the body is doing. So checking in with the contact with the earth. Again, this time pressing the knees back, squeezing the hips forward. When you do that, keeping the thighs and the buttocks firm, and this helps to keep this lower area of the abdomen a little firmer so that we can have our own girdle here as we side bend and start to warm up and continue to warm up the body. So releasing the hands, pressing the knees back, hips forward, and we'll start to gently side bend side to side. This movement is very important to open the lungs, even establishing a larger lung capacity with these gentle movements without having to do the rigors of running. So as we open the rib cage here side to side, keeping the legs nice and firm, we can start to, if you'd like, draw up the elbows. So letting the elbows move up towards the sky. The rest of the hand, the forearm is relaxed. So seeing as we do this, what you keep firm and what you release. Releasing the fingers, releasing the toes. And from here, reaching up with the hand, up and over. If you have any shoulder issues that it might be tweaked doing this, you can always keep the hands on the shoulders and continue that movement over. Again, remember the eyes, letting the eyes rest in front. Sometimes people, when they do this movement, they let the eyes move from side to side. That's okay as part of a warm-up if you'd like to try that. And we're going to slow this down, coming back to center, finishing whatever side you're on, pausing here for a moment, noticing anything in the body that's starting to warm up, maybe let you know that it's awake and aware. Sometimes for some people, they may in their side bending also be rotating a little bit. So it's helpful if your back is feeling tweaked at all when you do this to place your hands here in the space below the belly button so that your back is a little more supported. So we're going to go into another side bend here. This is why I'm telling you this. We're going to go into another side bend here, side bending to the right, pressing down equally through both feet. And if you feel able to do so, reaching that left arm up and over, even as you're pressing through the inner edges of the feet. And breathing into the space between the ribs. We're going to move the lungs and expand these little muscles between the ribs. Four more breaths here. Breathing into the space between the armpit and the hip. And we'll take a moment here in the fifth breath to look down towards the outer edge of the right foot, breathing fully in here. And then to exhale, turning the head to look up towards the ceiling and bringing yourself back upright, lowering that left hand, pausing here and noticing the expansion of one side versus the other. Starting to move the stale air in the lower lobes of the lung. We're going to repeat this on the other side. So to initiate the movement, once again, making sure you're engaging this lower abdomen by pressing the knees back, the hips forward, and then side bending over. You can keep that left hand there, reaching that right arm up and over, pressing through the inner edges of the feet, the inner edges of the sit bones. Breathing into this right rib cage, expanding the small muscles, the space between the armpit and the upper hip. Relaxing the toes and the fingers. Firm legs, firm pelvis. Relaxing the gaze, turning the head to look the outer edge of the left foot. Breathing in fully. Exhaling, reaching that right hand up and over. And bringing that right hand down, pausing here. And the last two movements of the spine, these 6 movements are the basis of all yoga poses here. So if you can do these, you're doing your yoga. We're going to start to rotate the body by starting to turn the body left and right. As you do that, allowing for the heel, the opposite heel, to raise. So if you turn towards the left, the right heel rises up. Turn to the right, the left heel rises up, and allowing for this movement to be translated up through the foot, through the leg, through the spine. As you do this and start to let this really transfer, the arms will start to swing a little more freely. See if you can translate this movement all the way up so that the arms are up at shoulder height. You may notice that your head is turning with the trunk. See if you can have the head focused ahead, forward, in front as the body moves underneath the head. Noticing what that does to the body and the jaw. And letting go of that, letting the head and the eyes to go along. And we'll start to taper the movement down, letting the arms come down until the arms are down by the sides. Pause here for a moment, feeling and sensing the body. Noticing if your sensation is mostly in the front body or the back body or maybe overall, but being aware of what's becoming alive and present for you right now. So from here, we're going into a tree pose. So this tree pose, this is a single leg stance. So we'll start first by shifting our weight over to the left leg, again, pressing that left knee back, pressing the left hip forward. Nice, strong tree trunk of a leg. And we're going to start, before we do the static pose, start by doing some circles with the knee. So raising the knee in front and out to the side. And reverse it. And pause, feeling this movement in the body. And again, shifting the weight over to the left, we're going to draw that right knee up as far up as you can. If you're able to grasp the shin and bring the knee up towards the chest, go ahead and do so, letting the shoulders descend, lifting through the chest. And do some rolls here with the foot. Releasing any tension in the ankles. And from here, pressing the right knee out to the side, And bringing that foot down so that the right ankle is resting on the inner right heel is resting on the inner left ankle. Again, adjusting the hip, making sure this tree trunk is nice and firm, right knee is pointing out to the right. Now, for some of you, this is a perfect place to be. If you feel like you need a little more stability, you're always welcome to place a hand on a wall or in a chair. It's sometimes helpful if we're working through a lot in our lives and might be feeling more stress or anxiety to use a little extra props, because that added nurturing can be helpful for the body to relax a little bit more. And from here, if you'd like, you can slide the foot up to the inner calf. Or if you'd like, you can bring it up to the groin. So finding the position that's most helpful for you in that balance between challenge and ease. So listening to what is beckoning in your body at the moment. And from here, we'll do some breaths, inhaling the arms up, exhaling the hands down through the center. And you can pause with that one breath or continue to do the movement of the arms. It's helpful to remember that as you do this movement, whether you're moving or still, that the eyes have a place that they can rest. So resting on the floor, on the horizon. Releasing the hands, releasing the foot. Noticing the impact of that simple movement on the body. We'll shift to the other side. So shifting our weight over onto the right leg, pressing that right knee back, right hip forward. You might notice a difference between one side and the other. Every side is different. So we're going to raise that right knee up and out to the side. Continuing with the fullness of the breath, you might have a little more awareness now of these lower ribs, these lower lobes. So even as you're moving, you can continue to keep that expansion, switching directions. And pausing with a knee in the center, grasping around the thigh or the shin, doing some circles. Releasing any tension in the ankle. And bringing that left knee out. And drawing the left heel down to rest on the inner ankle of the right side. Again, maybe you might want to check down, noticing the placement of the feet. Right foot is pointing forward, left foot is pointing to the side. You want to make sure that the knee is over the foot. So if you don't have the range of motion to be able to open the knee fully all the way out to the side, then go to the point where you can and let the foot line up with the knee in that way. So we'll pause here, making sure to keep the firmness of the hips. Sometimes when we go into these positions, we'll let go of the hip and the hip will jut out to the side. See if you can keep that nice and firm. Attention. Keeping the attention. And from here, if you'd like to stay here, it's fine. You can also slide the foot up to the inner calf or bringing it up to the groin. Making sure the foot is above or below the knee, but not pressing anywhere near the knee. The knee does not have good, the knee is designed to go forward and back, not side to side. So you don't want to add any stress on the knee at the sides. So in this place, we'll continue with the breath. If you'd like, inhaling, exhaling, the hands down to center. Finding that focal point in front of you for the eyes, and allowing the stillness and the presence that comes from engaging these muscles firmly. Start to nourish your mind, settle your mind. And releasing the hand, releasing the foot, and pausing here. So we're going to come to the front of our mat and go into lunge positions here and a few what we call warrior positions. So standing with your feet at the top of your movement area so that you have enough space behind you, maybe 5, 6 feet. We're going to shift our weight over to that left side again, inhaling that right knee up and stepping back. Pressing back with that right knee, descending through the tailbone. And as you descend through the tailbone, lifting through the chest, opening the chest, reaching the arms down, palms wide. Relaxing the toes and pressing through the inner and outer edges of the feet. That back heel, the right heel, is actually up off the ground. And from here, inhaling the arms up, reaching up. You can keep the palms facing shoulder width apart, or if you'd like, you can bring the hands together. And breathe. Remembering that breath of the side body, allowing the small ribs, the muscles between the ribs, to expand and contract. Releasing the hands down, we'll bring the hands down to the left thigh, hinging forward over this left hip here for a minute, and then turning the body towards the left, turning towards that left knee, and reaching back with that left hand. We'll breathe here. And then from here, you can pause here if you'd like, stay here, or you can also add in a movement of that left arm, bringing you forward, and then the left hand down, reaching back, lifting up, facing forward. See if you can release the fingers and the toes and the jaw. Soften the eyes. And last one. Until you're facing forward, both hands at the thighs. Pausing here for a moment. One more breath. And as you exhale, step your feet together. Pause here, feeling the impact of our movement. And we'll continue with the other side. Inhaling that left knee up, stepping back. If you like, checking your feet, making sure the knee is forward over the toes. The foot is facing forward and that left knee is pressing back. Tailbone dropping, chest lifting, arms out to the side, palms spreading wide. So we'll take 3 more breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling. And inhaling the arms up overhead. Again, the arms can be shoulder width apart, palms facing, keeping that right buttock firm, pressing down through both edges of the feet. But the weight of the body is distributed equally between the right and the left ball of the foot. Slowing the breath down. And bringing the hands down to the right thigh, hinging over this right thigh. We're going to inhale that right arm up and back, turning towards the right, reaching back with that right hand, keeping that right buttock firm, sweeping the arm down and forward and up. And coming back to finish facing forward, we'll inhale both arms up here. Exhale the arms down towards the right thigh, hinging forward and stepping your feet together. So we're going to transition here towards the floor. So to do this, we're going to start first with a forward fold. So the feet can be a little bit wider apart, maybe feet on either side of a yoga mat if you're practicing with a yoga mat, which is usually about 2 feet wide. And from here, bending the knees a little bit softly, we're going to forward fold here, pressing the buttocks back a little bit, making sure they're engaged. If you'd like, you can rest the arms on the thighs, letting the head hang. For those of you who have a little more range of motion, if you'd like, you can straighten the knees back a little bit more and bring the hands together, joining at the elbows and letting the arms and head hang. And bending the knees a little bit more. Bending that left knee, bringing it down towards the ground, and then the right. We're going to gently walk our body forward so that we're lying on our stomach. And from here, bringing the head down, making a pillow with the hands, resting here on the stomach. We're going to do a movement here to localize maybe any tension between the shoulder blades to help release a little bit more. So we'll start with this left side by bringing the left hand up so the left arm is extended straight out at shoulder height and reaching that left hand up
and all the way up as if you're flying like Superman. So this left hand is out to the side, reaching up and sweeping up over the head. Now, for some people, this can be very hard. So if you'd like, you can come up on the fingertips and then drag the fingers up to overhead. So feeling what you can do. And as you do this movement, you'll start to feel those muscles around the shoulder blade engage. And switching hands, we'll go to the other side. And letting the hands, the fingertips slide on the floor, a little bit like a snow angel, except on your stomach. If you're able to lift the hand up and up, so out to the side and then up, but that might be a lot. So figuring out the movement that works for you and releasing that. And we're going to turn onto our backs. Stretching the arms wide here for a moment. Very gentle half bridge in this place. So sliding the heels up towards the buttocks. We're going to very gently inhale and exhale here. Exhale. As you exhale, start to draw the buttocks up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, exhale, lift. If you're feeling like you are unable to feel your buttocks in this position and maybe feeling more in your low back, then lift the heels up off the floor so that you're mostly on the balls of your feet. And then press down through the balls of your feet, lifting the hips. If you'd like, you can even emphasize one side and then the other. And just playing around with the experience and the engagement of the muscles. Doing a couple more here. And bringing it to rest. Allowing for the whole spine and the feet and the shoulders and the back of the head to release towards the floor. If you notice that your head might be tilting back and the chin towards the sky, you might need to put an extra mat or a small pillow under your head, and that will help the neck to lengthen and the jaw to relax. Even towards the end of our practice here, with this one final pose we're going to do, it's important to make sure that you're listening and caring for your body. So it's okay to even slide down the mat and roll so that you have, if you need extra lift under the head. So from here, the arms are out to the sides. We're going to do a rotation. So bringing the knees over to the right, letting the head turn to the left. Inhaling, expanding the side rib cage. And exhale, drawing the knees up to center. Inhale in the center. Exhale over. Inhale. Exhale to center. And continuing that movement of breath and legs, side to side. And finding the rhythm that works for you. So we're coming to the end of our practice here. So maybe taking a moment to pause with the knees over to one side, breathing here, a couple of breaths. Focusing on the rib cage. And bringing the knees over to the other side. And breathing into this space. And coming back to center, letting the legs be long. And we're going to take about 30 seconds now to let go of all technique, to allow the body to really settle, let go of any remaining tension, and breathing. And very gently wriggling the fingers and the toes. We're going to make our way up to sitting, but we're going to do this very carefully. So the transition is very important in integrating our practice. So taking your time to roll to one side. If you'd like, you can make a pillow with the bottom arm, the top arm, the hand in front of the chest. Just pausing here for a couple of breaths. And very gently pressing with that hand and the elbow, coming up and sitting. We're going to take a moment here to also feel the body settling into this new position. Noticing the impact on your heart rate, on your breathing. Remembering the intention that brought you here today. And this practice of loving kindness. Wishing yourself, may I be well, may I be happy. Wishing you, our community, may you be well, may you be happy. And wishing our world, may we all be well, may we all be happy. And may the merit of our practice be a source of nourishment to the beings around us and bring peace to those who deeply need it.